think what appeals to me about the notion of branding is actually it's how loose a concept it is. There's just no way of actually defining that. And I like that. I like that we can continue to explore not just its edges, but its heart. I like that it's therefore a cultural concept. It is really it sits at the juxtaposition of commerce and culture and technology and society, you know, all these rich, meaningful things. And yet it's fluid enough that it can be as small as a mark that people remember, and it's big enough that it can be absolutely changing what a city, a country is about. So I love that. In terms of the process of it, therefore, actually I don't really consider that there is one. I think there are principles and philosophies about it. I think understanding that ultimately it's about the connection between human beings, real people, and organizations that either want them to buy something from them, adopt something, use something, achieve some kind of action. I think that's understanding that the exchange has to be fair on both sides, and that the brand will collapse if any one of those is opaque or taking advantage of the other. And so you always want to get a brand to be a clear value proposition both to the organization that owns the brand and to the individual who uses it. Increasingly, our work is about getting into the places where brands exist as opposed to sitting away and doing stuff. So some studies here done by the Skype team, and I'll talk to you a bit about the Skype work, are really about going into the places and observing people and really getting into the environment, into the place where people use those brands. And what this has done for the Skype team is that it's allowed us to create a brand that is, again, less on a pedestal and much closer to the real behaviors that people have when they use Skype. And for those of you that use Skype, there are all sorts of interesting things that happen. And here are some more. And my favorite one is the one in the lower, kind of that, when somebody's not quite there yet and you see the little space and the belly and the chest hairs peek out. Is the reality of using Skype. It's the thing that connects to people and is absolutely fantastic material for creating a brand. And so that's the language that we use to create the Skype brand. It is about the reality, the imperfections, the messiness of using Skype. Brands don't just have a relationship with technology. You can go as far as saying, in a tangible sense, brands are nothing but technology. And so if you go all the way back to the origins of branding, when it was about burning a mark on the side of a cow, that was delivered through that technology. If you fast forward to the 50s and 60s, brands were about storytelling because the dominant social technology at the time was television and radio. And so brands became tools for that. I think we live in a world where the dominant technologies of our time are interactive. They're things we hold in our hands and use, and social media is a big part of that. But it isn't specifically about social media. And I think the way those things, including social media, but physical devices that we all carry, these gestures that we can all do, what it's done to brands is just really shorten the distance between the organization and the story it's telling and the individual who's using a product and service, and it's kind of collapsed that space. So where 40 years ago I could tell a story through advertising and then the person would go into the shop the following day, right now that stuff's happening right there. And social media is a big part of that, but just a part of it. The various experiences I have and various backgrounds I have absolutely influence my work, but I think that's the same for all of us. And I think whereas the variety in my experience might be different countries, for some people it's different careers or different education or different family structures. We all bring such a diverse range of skills, and I think the important thing for people, I always say, the young designers in particular, is to bring what you've got. Don't kind of look at me and go, I wish I had your 3 nationalities, Ije, because that's what I've got. But you've got something that is totally unique to you, and nobody can tell your story as well as you, and nobody can bring that specific mix of talents to the creative process. And that ultimately is your superpower.